All right, Madam Chair, we can run through the agenda real quick.
Okay.
And it will be real quick. They set up a lot of chairs for us, so I don't think a little excessive, but just the one item tonight, the request for an ADU above a garage on North 18th Street. We do have a member of the public planning to attend and testify, so we'll hear that one.
Great.
And that's it. And then can go eat. And
Perfect.
I want to thank you, Danielle, for your service. Been on the commission since 2011, as far as I can tell. So thank you, and we'll miss you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have been here, but I'm happy to also go do something else for a little while.
Sure. Yeah, you can. I mean, you got to watch Monday Night Football instead of being here, right?
Right. That is top on my list.
All right. Thanks.
Hello and good evening. Today is the 24th of October, 2022. This is the scheduled time and place for the Historic Preservation Commission meeting. I am Chairperson Weaver, and I now call the meeting to order. Christina, can you please call the roll?
Pape. Here. Koski. Maroney.
Here.
Montoto.
Here.
Reaver.
Here.
Malloy.
Here.
Kintai. Otter.
Here.
6 present, 2 absent.
Okay, thank you. Have all the commissioners had a chance to review the minutes from the September 26, 2022 meeting? All right, does anybody have any comments or changes to the minutes? Hearing none, I will now take a motion on the September 26, 2022 minutes.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the September 26th, 2022 minutes.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Montoto. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Christina, can you please call the roll?
Pape.
Abstain.
Maroney.
Abstain.
Montoto.
Aye.
Reaver.
Aye.
Otter.
Aye.
3 in favor, 2 abstain. Motion carries. Oh, I'm sorry. Who did I not call? Malloy.
Aye.
4 in favor, 2 abstain. Motion carries.
If you didn't get it, Commissioner Otter was the second on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we don't have anything for deferral tonight or anything on the consent agenda. So we'll go ahead and we just have one case to hear tonight, and we'll go ahead and hear that. It's DRH 22-00369. Can we please have the staff report, please?
There, I say green light. The applicant proposes to construct a detached garage and an ADU on the second floor. The height of the ADU will be 25 feet 4, and the existing residence peak is 33 feet. So that makes it substantially under the height of the adjacent or of the house. This property will use gable roofs. And an exterior stairway to the second floor. And there's going to be a balcony above the garage door accessed from within the SDU. This property will have lap siding to match the existing home and windows on all sides. Of note, recently, I received elevation drawing, and the original elevations are mislabeled. So there is a new drawing that I can pull up here that gives the correct orientation. This property faces west on the street. And so we will gauge the actual locations from the drawing that I can pop up, which will probably help a lot. So this is the correct orientation as we want to look at the elevation for where west is west and east is east. And never the twain shall meet. Yeah. All right. That's
Okay.
it.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for staff? Okay, is the applicant present?
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Okay, excellent.
State your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 20 minutes.
Kristen Coulter, Northridge Architecture, 6426 North Hillsborough Place, Boise, Idaho, 83703. I'm the architect for this project at 1934 North 18th Street. Our goal, as so thoroughly explained in the analysis conducted by Mr. Jarvis, is to build a 25 by 25 garage on the ground floor and an ADU, a one bedroom apartment ADU over the top of that. And this building will be constructed in the place of an existing garage and storage area, which has a footprint. Let's see, our new footprint will be 625, whereas the existing structure was 782. So this will actually, while it is taller, it will take up less of the site. And then the paving will actually be less too, because we will be removing an existing driveway, because the existing garage is accessed from the side as opposed to straight on from the alley. We will be using the same materials as the primary residence, so horizontal lap siding, and doing it in the same colors as well. And over the door into the ADU, which is accessed via an external staircase, I've tried to do kind of a little accent gable to reflect the accent gable on the front of the primary residence. So we are doing our best to try to make the structure as harmonious with the existing as possible. And then, yeah, just trying to comply with all of the historical requirements. And we will be using exterior light fixtures that are shielded so that they don't disrupt any of the neighboring properties. And I think that's about it.
Great, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? Okay, all right, thank you very much. You'll be able to come back on in a few minutes after we talk to the neighborhood association and members of the audience. Is the registered neighborhood association here to testify?
Good evening, Madam Chair. This is Kate Henwood at 1116 North 12th Street. Yeah, so I would say, this is another fairly large structure. I think typically we prefer to see them stay within that, 1,000 square foot limit. I think this house in particular already stands out quite a bit, just as a very large structure among much smaller houses on the block. And the same will be true for the ADU relative to the other garages and structures along that alleyway. That being said, we appreciate that the applicant is increasing the setback and that the height of the structure is still going to be significantly less of that of the home. It's unfortunate because I think it's kind of a catch-22 because of the size. They need to do the increased setback, which I think unfortunately then increases kind of I guess I would say the impinges on the neighbors a little bit. And I think we are going to hear from a neighbor here. So I'm wondering if there might be something that could be done with the windows, because there are, very small windows facing the primary structure. But then, you've got that large balcony facing the east, and then larger windows to the north and the south. So wondering if there might be some flexibility there as well. As Ms. Colton mentioned, they are changing the driveway. I think it's fairly large now, but there still will be a driveway. So anything they can do to use permeable paving, of course, would be our preference. And we appreciate that they already have the downshield lighting in their plans. And I'm not sure if this was mentioned by staff, but the lot coverage is still probably worth noting. The lot coverage is still fairly minimal. It's below 30%, even though these are proposed to be fairly large structures. So anyway, I think that is it from us.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the Neighborhood Association? Kate, I have one question for you. I guess I was a little unclear. I hear some of the things that you would like them to maybe take a look at, but are you generally in a approval of it or not?
I think we are. From my understanding, they're complying with all their requirements. My understanding is that the size would require them to get a zoning certificate versus a variance. So I guess I want to clarify that. I think as we've made clear, we're really hesitant to support projects that require variances without true hardships. But my understanding is in this case, it would require a zoning certificate, which is different than a variance. So as long as that is true, then I would say, yes, we are generally supportive, because again, it does seem that they are, within the guidelines, but, also want to be cognizant of neighbors' privacy concerns. And again, just the sizing relative to the other homes on the street and on the alley.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. All right. Is there anybody in the audience wishing to testify? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Franklin Martinez. I'm at 1932 North 18th Street, the house immediately to the south of the one in question. I sent a handwritten letter in a few days ago voicing what my objections are. The architect indicated that this new garage and ADU will be replacing the old one. One of my biggest concerns is the old garage pretty much butts up against the alley. It has a side load. With the new structure, they want to load in from the alley, which means they're going to set it back 15 feet more into the yard. It's a fairly small yard now because of the large house. Moving it 15 feet in basically puts the stairway and the windows looking right into our backyard. Right now, we get a lot of light from their house. Anyway, the houses in the north end are pretty close together. I'm very concerned that with the windows and the lighting on the stairway, any privacy we have in the backyard will be will disappear. So that's one of my biggest concerns. Is I was a little bit confused looking at the plans, but it seems like even though the architect has indicated that this garage will be smaller, or at least the footprint, it will, with the house and the new building, it pretty much makes that whole yard disappear. And so I am basically against it, especially where it's placed with the windows and the stairway. It will basically look right into our backyard. So anyway, that is one of our biggest concerns. So anyway, right now the neighbors are good neighbors, but there are, I think I counted 18 kids on our block. and most of them are in the backyard at the time. So what I can see is them all being on this stairway, looking down into our yard is what's going to happen. So anyway, that's our concern, is mostly privacy, and for the future, the value of our home is somebody looking at it will look up there and see this building looming over our backyard. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, one question. I can't tell exactly from the drawings, but are there any trees that provide any privacy between the yards right now?
There are 2 trees that we call weed trees, sumac trees, that are they're right on the property line. They're pretty tall and skinny, so they don't provide shade. Most of the shade in our backyard comes from a tree on the south side of our lot or whatever. I know some of the neighbors have indicated whether this construction is going to take down some of the trees in the yard. So anyway, but I personally would not miss the trees because all the leaves fall on my roof. So I spend a lot of time in the gutter. So, but the house itself is, when the neighborhood association came by recently, they had a folder and they were looking for a 1-story small house, which obviously was the original house before 2002. So when this new structure was put in 20 years ago, it is quite the tall building that kind of looms over both houses on either side of it. So all I can picture is this other one is just going to fill in the space from the sidewalk to the alley. So.
I guess a quick question for
Okay.
you. Would you be more comfortable with this application if there was some way to screen the stairs, or if they were not? That seems like that's probably the number one issue.
I'm not the architect, but I would be concerned because the people on the north of the house, I could picture the house, the stairway being better placed for the neighbors, either facing west or facing east towards the alley, where you would not have a direct side into our, either one of our yards or whatever. So if you were to put it on where it is now on the south side or on the north side, it definitely looks right into people's yards. And when with that height, it's just looms over. Even right now, their deck is higher and they can actually look into our yard right now. So even with the 6-foot fence, so I would say, I'm personally against it because of the size, but that's regulation as opposed to anything else, personal taste. But what I am opposed to is the fact that it just going to loom into our yard. So completely. So I walked the neighborhood, and I think on our block there are 7 other garages with the second story, and I think most of them are not occupied as ADUs, but every one of them is placed where it looks onto another garage as opposed to into somebody's yard. So, the city is obviously seems it's okay to build the structure as is, but the placement in the yard is what bothers me the most.
Great.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have a follow-up question. Have your neighbors responded to any of your feedback regarding your concerns?
The neighbors who have made the application?
Correct.
No, I've had no communication with them at all. I mean, except to say hello, but there's been no contact by anyone. We got the card last week, and then the Neenah people happened to be walking by one day when I was working in the yard when they were looking at it. And so I got to talk to the ladies that day, but otherwise there's been no contact at all from
Thank
any.
you.
Yeah. So.
Okay, great. All
That
right.
it?
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you very much.
Is there anybody else from the audience wishing to testify? Okay. Doesn't sound like there's anybody else. Are there any, well, I guess is the applicant available?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Can you go ahead and state your name and address again for the record, and then you'll have 5 minutes.
Kristen Coulter, Northridge Architecture, 6426 North Hillsborough Place, Boise, Idaho, 83703. You're completely right in saying that the site is tight. And I think that is what kind of drove our decision-making when it came to locating the structure and the staircase, just with the setbacks that the city requires and the way that that the garage needed to be sited. It just didn't work. I would have loved to have maintained side access, but for to meet current code, which the existing garage does not, we wouldn't have had enough backup space in order to do that. And so it is, it's not the applicant's wish or ultimate desire to have things situated this way, but it was just kind of pushed in that direction. I would like to add the owners of the residence. This will be the structural will act as a mother-in-law suite, literally. So the mother-in-law will be residing there, and I would like to think that, I mean, she would like the quiet, and I sincerely doubt that they'll be allowing kids to congregate on the stairs and invade your privacy. That's not what they want to do by any means. And I would hope that, you know, by having the ADU closer to the north side of the site, that it would decrease the amount of vision lines over the fence. So that's kind of why things are the way they are.
Okay, great. Thank you. Are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Do we have any last questions for staff? Nope. Okay, well then I'll go ahead and close the public portion of the hearing and consider a motion or discussion.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Otter.
I guess I would open it up to discussion. The building doesn't bother me. It meets all the code requirements that we have. I am disappointed in the homeowners for not contacting their neighbor and finding out what they thought of it. And I wonder if there's a way to ask them to go do that and maybe come back with some trees or something that might provide additional coverage down the line. But that's not really our department, unfortunately, because this is more the historic stuff and it meets all of those basic requirements. So I'm a little bit out of a loss of how best to handle it and opening up to other commissioners for ideas.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just would echo what Commissioner Otter said. There's really no grounds for denial on our part. It is unfortunate that you're losing privacy, but maybe you and them can get together and come up with some creative solutions, whether that's planting trees or thinking about some screens on the stairs. But really, in terms of what we base our decisions on, I don't see, anything that we can use for denial.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would also echo the sense of disappointment. I think that this has probably been a project the homeowner has been working on for several months. And to think that with a 25-foot structure going in on their property, that they wouldn't think to contact the people that live around them, to me is so disheartening. As my fellow commissioners have said, unfortunately, there isn't a lot of grounds for denial on this. And I don't know if it's fair or right for us to defer this and ask that the homeowner come up with solutions for the neighbor. I think at this point, if we're going to vote on this item, I would vote in support of it, only because I don't really have anything to stand for to deny. those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or a motion?
I guess I can make a motion.
Okay,
A motion to approve DHR 22-00369 with staff's recommendation, approval for staff's recommendations.
I'll second.
okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Otter and a second by Commissioner Maroney. Christina, can you please call the roll?
Pape,
Aye.
Maroney,
Aye.
Montoto,
Aye.
Weaver,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Otter,
Aye.
all in favor, motion carries.
Right, thank you, everybody. That will conclude tonight's hearing. Have a good evening.